Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning, start of another week. And hope you're having a great day. And we got some interesting topics this week. I've already got them pretty well lined up because a few studies came out that I want to talk to you about, and I think you will find fascinating. Good morning, Rosa and Annette and Bernadette and John. Let me see here. Maria and Michael. Okay. And Diney, Evangeline, Susan, Jerry, Laura, Nick, Marlene. Good to have you on. Pauline, Susan, another Susan, Lynn. Bonjour. Karen, Laurie, Linda from Nouveau-Brunswick, Brunella, Maria, Frida from Elliott Lake. Good to have you on. Madeline, how are you? Lise. And you guys are great. Okay, so I'll come on afterwards and say hello. We're going to look at a new study that came out. I saw it on Saturday, so it's brand new, hot off the presses. And, you know, when I don't like to do this, but I got to do it. I told you so. Okay. I told you so. And if you go online and look at any kind of doctor or whatever, alternative or whatever, that talks about autism, you will see, there's two schools, really, generally. There are the school of genetics, and for some reason there's a defect and a kid becomes autistic. And the other school is vaccinations. And, with the advent of vaccinations, now, true enough, when I was a kid in the 1950s, children got vaccinated, but they got 2 of them. And today they get 70 of them before the age of 2. But if you look at, if you scour the internet, and you Google autism, you're going to get genetics, unknown, etiology. What's etiology? What causes it? What causes autism? And then you have the other school, and with all due respect to them, and I've been around a long time, and I've never blamed autism on vaccines. Now, I'm not saying it's not a factor, but I've never done that. And if you guys have followed me for a long time, I have been very, very consistent. Now, this new study out, I got to say, I told you so. Because here's what's happened in the last 10 years, 20 years. It's a new phenomenon in medicine, and that is the study of your bacteria, your microbiome. Okay? Your microbacteria. That's what that word means. And the more we study it, the more fascinating it becomes. Because we realize that your body you got more bacteria in your body than you have cells. Did we know that in the 1970s? Nah. And, medicine it was at the crossroads many, many years ago. And we actually see it today, okay? I just got to get diverted just for a second here so that you understand the history of medicine, okay? There was a guy named Louis Pasteur. You surely remember that name. And to him, it was the bacteria, infection. Today, it has influenced us today big time during this pandemic. That thinking, the virus. Well, it came from literally in medicine where there was a fight. What is the biggest problem? Is it the bacteria or is it the host? Meaning you and your immune system. Like, what's more important? Well, medicine shifted over 100 years ago. They shifted to the biggest problem is the bacteria or the virus. And they did wonderful things, guys. Medicine's done wonderful things because the biggest thing that they discovered was antibiotics. The problem is, you can't just focus in on the bacteria or the virus. You have to talk about the host. You have to talk about your body, how it operates. So medicine went hook, line, and sinker. They followed Louis Pasteur and did some wonderful things. So don't come after me and say I'm crazy. Well, I might be crazy, but it's not that I don't respect medicine. You get in a car accident, you don't need me. You need a doctor that does surgery or can keep you alive with antibiotics, and you need the emergency department. But this whole underbelly of COVID has been the world listening to only one faction of medicine, and that is the public health officials who are into bacteria and viruses. And there's a big argument going on right now because of shutdowns. But stink, nobody's talking about the immune system. Anyways, that was my diversion. To bring you to this point, a new study on autism has shown that the cause is bacteria, not an infection, but a change in the bacteria inside your body. Now, I have to do this because teaching is repetition. So let me just teach a little bit of teaching. All you got to remember is you have trillions of bacteria. Most of them, when you get on a scale, take 3 pounds off. Woohoo! Okay? When you get on a scale, remember, take 3 pounds off because you got 3 pounds of bacteria. Yeah. You got good, you got bad, and you got ugly. Guys. Now, they got to be in harmony. They got to be in harmony. Good guys, bad guys and the ugly guys. I'm going to talk about the ugly. The good, bad, and ugly. Because what they've shown in autism is what I've been saying for the last 30 years. Consistent. Leaky gut is at the root of autism. Leaky gut is at the root of autism. Now, vaccines might play a part. I don't know about that. There's doctors a lot smarter than me that say they do. All I'm saying is I've been consistently talking about leaky gut. And what leaky gut is when you have a change in this good, bad, and ugly. You don't have enough good guys. When you don't have enough good guys, the bad guys and the ugly guys take over. It starts in your gut. And gut, what happens, when you hear that, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. You guys heard that. The problem with the gut, that's not true. What happens in the gut doesn't stay in the gut. Because you have a gut-blood barrier. It's a thin little lining of cells. But what protect those cells, that little wee lining between your gut and your blood, the gatekeepers of your gut blood barrier, the gatekeepers need to be surrounded by lots of friendly bacteria. Billions of them. Now to autism. One thing they know, according to this study, because they're studying the microbiome, they're studying your bacteria, they're studying autistic children's bacteria. They got a problem. Houston, we have a problem. And the problem is they don't have enough good bacteria. Here's what they found in this study. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. Autistic children don't have enough digestive enzymes. They don't have enough digestive enzymes. Autistic children do not have enough friendly bacteria, especially the bifidobacterium longum. Oh, I hate medicine. They always give you Latin names. Oh, I hated Latin when I was in high school. I hated it with a passion. Ooh. That was to keep the masses ignorant. Here's what they found, okay? One, not enough digestive enzymes. Their body wasn't making the proper amount of digestive enzymes to break food down. Two, autistic children have leaky gut. All of them. All of them. Not enough friendly bacteria. Very important. 3, this is key. Because of low levels of digestive enzymes, they're not making them. And I'll tell you why in a minute. 2, not enough friendly bacteria, not enough guards at the gut level between your gut and your blood. The gut-blood barrier, what does it do? It keeps garbage out of your blood. Think about it. Go to the bathroom, in the toilet. That's, if you got a good blood-brain barrier, blood-gut barrier, what you see in the toilet, none of it leaks into your bloodstream, including bacteria and viruses and heavy metals and toxins, garbage. It belongs in the toilet. The problem is, autistic children have leaky gut. So what gets into their bloodstream? Toxins. The vaccine, perhaps, sneaks across the blood-brain barrier. They're giving, what is a vaccine? They give you. They're going to give us the COVID virus. That's what a vaccine is, guys. They're going to take the COVID virus and they're going to give it to us. That's a vaccine. They give you a small amount of it so your body develops antibodies. Now, here's another thing they found with autistic children. Only makes sense. They have inflammation markers. They have a low-grade infection all the time. It's sort of autoimmune. And they have leaky, here's another finding. They don't only have leaky gut, they have leaky brain. Because what's in the gut that should have gone into the toilet goes into the brain. And now they have toxins in the brain. Not enough good bacteria. Now here's the biggest finding. Here's the biggest finding, if you're taking notes. 1, not enough digestive enzymes. They just don't make them. 2, they got not enough friendly bacteria, especially Bifidobacterium longus. But there's other ones I know because I've been looking at this for a long time. They don't have enough broad spectrum probiotics. That's what friendly bacteria are, by the way. They're called probiotics. They have an overgrowth. This is the very most important. They have inflammation. They have leaky brain. Not only leaky gut, they have leaky brain. Because you have a blood-brain barrier. And the same thing that damages your gut-blood barrier damages your blood-brain barrier. You see, your body is unbelievably made. You have a barrier between your blood and your brain. Why? To protect your brain. But what if you don't have enough protection? Now, the biggest finding is this. This is the biggest finding. All autistic children have Candida albicans. Now, why do they have Candida? We're going to talk about that. But that's the ugly, guys. Okay? You have good bacteria, you have bad bacteria, and you have ugly. You know what ugly is? It's yeast. yeast. It's called dysbiosis. It's called Candida albicans. It's a fungal infection, because that's what yeast is, guys. It's a fungus. It travels in autistic children from the gut to the brain. This, guys, is one of the most important findings. I was online yesterday telling a mama waiting to have a baby. Probiotics, probiotics, probiotics. It's so important. Now, can you tell me a doctor, a traditional medical doctor, that would tell, a woman in pregnancy to take a probiotic? They don't even know about it. They don't study it. It's sad. What is it today? I'm telling you, I got some of my medical books in the background there. Do you know that? I didn't even never heard of autism before 1979. I never even heard of it. I didn't know, what is it? Autism? Until a colleague of mine in Toronto told me he had 2 autistic sons. What? What are you talking about? And autism, impaired social communication, repetitive habits. But here's what, I told you what they found clinically. Now let me give you a little bit of history. I actually have written this in my new book. And I've talked to you about this in the past, but it bears repeating. That here's what they found. And again, there's always exceptions. So just understand there's always exceptions. But just generally, here's what they know. Now, I showed you clinical findings. But now I'm going to give you a little bit of their history of mommy and baby. Mommy and baby. It's important you understand that. This is coming out of medicine, not out of me, out of medicine. Here's what they've seen. Generally in history, let's talk about mommy. Mommy on antibiotics during or even a year before pregnancy. What do antibiotics do? They kill everything. The good guys and the bad guys. That's how you get yeast. Ladies, you should know this more than anybody else. Oftentimes you take an antibiotic for, let's say, a bladder infection, and then you get a yeast infection. Men, So men, we're stupid. And medicine is men. It's still a man's, Medicine's still run by men, believe it or not. Even though half of the physicians today are women. But it's got that mentality. Anyway, I want to get mummy on antibiotics. Look, that is a mummy of an autistic child. Generally, exceptions, of course. Mummy has gestational diabetes. Not always, but it's very common. And remember, diabetes, when you hear that word, think insulin. They have insulin resistance. It's not blood sugar. It's insulin, insulin, insulin. Mommy has a bad diet. Of course, because they have insulin resistance. They're carboholics. I didn't say it. Well, I'm saying it, but I didn't say it. I'm reading you from this study. The other one is obesity. But again, obesity is a symptom of insulin. Insulin is a storing hormone. It's a fat storing hormone. In the liver, in the muscles, and in fat cells. And when you don't have enough room in the parking lot, your liver, it's going to make up more and more fat cells around the liver. Mummy of an autistic child on antibiotics, generally, gestational diabetes, bad diet, and obesity. Baby, autistic baby, antibiotics in early life, ears, baby has an earache. Oh, you ever hear a baby cry and not, you ever had an earache? Oh my word, how sore that poor little baby. It's usually not bacterial though, it's viral. But doctors are used to giving antibiotics. Better to give the baby a little bit of painkiller and an antihistamine than an antibiotic that destroys all the friendly bacteria. Anyway, here's another thing, and this, guys, is really key. Mummy, baby. Autistic kids generally, C-sections. I said this 25, 30 years ago. And I'm not against C-sections. But even the obstetricians are being told, don't do so many C-sections. Why? I was told I was crazy when I said this. I was told I was crazy. You wouldn't believe the flack I got when I used to talk about this. Baby is meant to go through the birth canal. Why is that? Because it gets mummy's bacteria. It goes through that mucus and feces. Mummy's bacteria gets in their nasal cavities and into their body. They need that. Autistic children generally are C-section babies. Here's another one. And again, guys, don't come after me. I'm just telling you the study. Autistic children are ordinarily not breastfed. Again, that's another way babies get mummy's bacteria, right off their breast. Guys, we have a scourge in our society today, a plague. Something that was unheard of. What have I always said? Antibiotics are the greatest discovery of the 20th century and now have become the curse of the 21st. And one of the case in points is autism. Because, when people try and blame vaccines, I blame antibiotics more than vaccines. And I'm not telling you not to take an antibiotic if you have an infection. Please don't do that to me. You're misquoting me. You got an infection? Take an antibiotic, but you better take probiotics with it. Well, some people, I got to wait till I finish the antibiotic. No, you don't. You got billions you got trillions of bacteria. Start replacing immediately. Double up your doses of antibiotics. Mommy, you're waiting to have a baby. I know they'll tell you to take folic acid and, take your multivitamin. I get it. I understand that. But probiotics, lots. Good for you, mommy, and good for baby. Good for you, mommy, and good for baby. Mommy that's had a C-section, just by the way, I just give you some other statistics. It came out of the same study. Mommy has C-section, baby has an increase in allergies, cancer, asthma, ADD, ADHD, and autoimmune disease, never mind autism. Autism is autoimmune, by the way. 100%. Yeast. Everybody has a little bit of yeast in their body. You got a little bit. But if you don't have enough friendly bacteria, the ugly yeast spreads. I've told you in the past about even oncologists that think that yeast or fungus is the root of all cancers. Because you can't see it. You can't see it. Most people with yeast, they can't see it. They got digestive trouble. Like there's a new condition, it's relatively new, called SIBO, S-I-B-O, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. It ain't the bacteria, guys. It's fungus. It's candida. Baby's got chronic sinusitis and always stuffed up. Well, you say, well, doc, that's dairy. Yeah, but what's underneath the dairy? Like dairy, why is it that baby has an allergy to dairy and the next one beside it doesn't? It's not the dairy. It's not gluten schmooten. They're factors. Oh yeah, but doc, it's because you got leaky gut. You got too much yeast. That's why you get allergies. It's not, the dairy. I eat dairy and as long as I don't eat dairy, yeah, but you didn't fix the problem. The problem's inside your gut. It's bacteria and you don't have enough good guys. And what happens is the ugly comes in and you have an overgrowth of yeast. That's called dysbiosis. 100%. That's why it's not gluten. There's a whole industry out there, gluten-free. Oh, doc, can I eat gluten-free? I guess so. Yuck. Gluten-free. You know how they got to replace the gluten? Sugar. Guess what that does? It feeds your yeast. Guys, this is one of the reasons I do the reset. You won't be eating any gluten. But here's the bigger thing on the reset. You won't be feeding your yeast. Yeast starves to death on the reset. It's got no food. A lot of people, they get a reaction to the reset at first. You know what that is? It's yeast saying, you stinking, no good for nothing. You haven't fed me today. Where's my junk? Where's my sugar? Yeast lives on sugar. Mommy, you have cravings. You're pregnant. Don't feed the bears. Don't feed the bears. We're told in Northern Ontario here not to feed the bears. Don't leave your garbage out. That's candida. That's fungus. Guys, isn't that a fascinating? I tell you, when I read that on Saturday, I stopped in my tracks. And I'm trying to think, of course, I'm going to wait and see if it's anywhere else. A little obscure study that I happen to get my eyeballs on. One of the greatest things, and it's at the root. And even when I said inflammation, autistic children have markers of inflammation. Their inflammation is high. Of course, your body's smart. It knows it has a yeast infection. It creates a low-grade inflammation. Remember, inflammation is not Houdini. Leaky gut. I don't know how I can explain it any better than that. So, broad spectrum probiotics. Broad spectrum. Got to have over 10 different strains. You need to replace that. Chemicals destroy your good bacteria. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like Advil and Motrin and even Tylenol. They don't classify it as a NS, but it kills your friendly bacteria, guys. Anyway, tomorrow we're going to look at a Psychology Today article. Another new one came out. Fascinating. Okay, so if you're not part of our Martin Clinic Facebook group, please join. Invite your friends. I think we're up to on Facebook, we're over 60,000 followers. We appreciate that. If your friends can't watch live, well, then tell them to sign up for our podcast at martinclinic.com. You can sign up for our podcast. We appreciate it. We appreciate the feedback. We want your feedback. We invite your questions. So, fascinating. I hope it was fascinating for you, but for me, it was unbelievably fascinating. And I won't say I told you so. Okay, love you guys. Lord willing, we talk to you tomorrow.